Black Monday 5, it's definitely this time, ended up being not definitely this time. And it's a good thing that we were trolling, talking about that, saying how the 2 hour was potential to curl up into positive territory. Not positive territory yet, but I'm glad that we can give ourselves a big old thumbs up and pat on the back for our YouTube viewers and our Patreon members who are really keeping a level head about the market and never buying into these Black Monday things. When there is a Black Monday type of signal, I will let you know, but right now we have not seen that kind of signal for the time being. Maybe we are about to walk into one around GDP though, and that's what we're going to talk about today as we get into some technical analysis for the SPY and the Qs, and we're going to go over a little bit of volatility. I don't have the most time, but the plan is overall happening here where the 2 hour is able to confirm up. Now, the reason I do have these levels up on the chart still is because I wanted to show you guys the process throughout the day. Throughout the day, people were asking me, what do you think will happen with all this divergence down here on the RSI? And I said, oh, I think that we are going to get a 2 hour move to the upside. And then we're probably going to see an upward move, see some kind of pullback, and then be able to go to something like 600 at the end of the day. And look at that. It happens right at the end of the day. Perfect thing for it to take place right now. So the thing that happened in this and why this becomes a little bit confusing for you is you see the divergence down there on your RSI, but you're also going, hey, what's kind of going on here? Why did we break down and lose the low? This is the sneakiness of the market, is they completely sweep the low, they sweep out the stops, then they curl it up. So in this area we were talking about, people were asking, how do you manage a trade? Okay, if the 15-minute does curl down and that is close to the center line, which it relatively was, right? You would say that's right on it. So you might be managing risk at some point around this type of area, and then you're right back into that risk once you do see that go back to positive, and then you see that nice move up to 600. This is why I choose to do bigger time frames, though. I don't like flipping back and forth that often. So I'm going to give you guys some information about tomorrow that might be able to help you out, and that's by updating these daily expected moves. If you need the weekly expected moves, make sure to pause the video right now. Boom, pause, so that you can get the purple lines that are on the chart there. Those are your weekly expected moves for the SPY. The downside move for tomorrow for the SPY is going to be 595.71. Boom. And so now we see a pretty clear picture here of what could take place. Are we going to see this continue to the upside, set a new high early on in the day? I think that would be a very interesting way to head higher. Set that new high early on in the day, then we start to pull back into the end of the day on Tuesday, where then we can lift off and get to that weekly expected move right to Wednesday. Exactly what I want to see happen would be my little lightning bolt right here, and that would be the bullish way to head higher. There's multiple different ways to head higher at this point until you take out these lows. So if you are going to head downward early on in the day, the 30-minute could cross, but look for that support towards 595, 596 to be able to curl up into what? Positive territory. I think you are slightly more, and I'm leaning more towards some kind of upward move. I don't know if that has to go all the way to daily move. All you really need to take out is this to create the head and shoulders. Right, so technically we could just peek our head up to here and then start to pull back and then see some good things on Wednesday. But if we want to get excited, kind of raise that floor a little bit, I think that that could be very interesting. And that is overall what I am leaning towards. Let's go over to the Qs for a moment here and just appreciate that price action one more time. Once again, 15-minute curls down, you go, hey, it's starting to get a little risky right here. RSI, price action, okay, curls down, curls right back up and heads to the upside, and now you're back into that 2-hour move. Right, if you're playing it like this, then you're not technically trying to just catch this. You're trying to remain in it for a few days to potentially catch something like that, which means you have to be willing to hold through some possible pullbacks. But I really just wanted to show off. We went directly to the daily expected move after seeing that crazy wipeout of stops. Very funny how this market works. Now, I want to give you guys updated levels for the Qs. 536.53 to the upside. We get some good upside there. We're going to look at those type of levels. 526.91 to the downside. So now we're seeing a little bit of a story here, and we're going, okay, what's on the table for tomorrow? Well, as far as just reading into where these are, you would go, ooh, well, taking out these lows is not necessarily on the table unless we see something crazy. But what is on the table is trying to continue to take out these highs, and then you notice that we could run into resistance at the top one. So the interesting structure that you really want to create here is probably something like this over here by taking these levels out. But if you can get excited here in some way, you can raise that floor. You might not have to pull back as much. And we can pull back on, say, throughout the day on Tuesday, right? And then we're able to scoop this thing up by Wednesday and we actually see continued upside. I think that would be very interesting. There is another scenario here with these, right? If we roll the move, see a reaction, roll it again, bearish things. But if this 2 hour is able to scream, I'm talking scream here, we need to see if we can extend this move. If the 2 hour is able to go to a point where that thing just screams through and we don't go through anything bad, and you wipe out all these divergence points down here on the RSI, you can continue into the end of June, which would be next week, okay? But I don't think that's a big point. I think we are potentially walking up a cliff to danger towards GDP, which is Thursday morning before the open, so you are aware. Let's just go over this real quick. The daily chart for the Qs, something very interesting that could happen here, even if we do head up for a few more days, is do we get the point of divergence, right? Do we get another point of divergence with the RSI? Do we get a point of divergence with the MACD? So we can really pay attention and maybe we see like a flash of green for a moment and then you actually start to tear down. I think that'd be interesting. So we are walking up into some extreme weakness, is my opinion. The only way out of this weakness right now is to see something absolutely irrational and see some kind of mega squeeze. And I'm not leaning towards that at this point. I think we are walking up into a bunch of danger, danger, danger. And whenever it comes out, it can be literally on Wednesday, Thursday. It could be the first week of July. It could be the second week of July. That's how long this can remain up in this area and just go sideways. But eventually, you're going to dump down to visit, I would say 510 again for the Qs, if not all the way down towards 490. And we're going to really see one of those, hey, it's a crash, but, you know, all those Black Monday people are going to start saying Black Monday over here, and then it's going to be wrong again. As far as it goes for this video, guys, we're very chill about it. Nothing is going against our plan as of right now. Yeah, there was a quick management for trade and get back in today if you were trading on the shorter time frames. I'm not doing any of that. I'm choosing to sit back and be patient and see if the market shows me a nice short position. We do see that 2 hour chart that we were talking about confirming, we did get one more spike up in volatility, but it starts to come back down. And you see signals like this for volatility, it usually means the daily wants to cross down. That's why I'm not taking like just a massive squeeze can get us to go higher off the table, because really with this kind of behavior here, a lot of the time volatility would curl down on a daily chart. And I think that's very interesting. So I will be paying attention to some levels here. The main level I'm interested in is just where this gap fill is right here towards 18. I think it could be a moment where we shift down for a quick bit of time and then we see this thing turn back up. That could be on Thursday, in the morning, or it could be potentially later on. But overall, the daily here, not able to exceed levels, not able to go positive. If this keeps rolling, we could have to see like a 2 hour divergence down here before we're actually able to tell if volatility wants to come back into this market. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys were able to get those daily expected moves on your charts. Weekly expected moves are here as well. Let's show them off for the Qs at the end of the video in case you didn't get them for the Qs. But it was nice to see how there was one fake out in the day, but overall we ended up seeing that 600 by the end of the day, which is exactly what we were paying attention to. And while everyone was saying Black Monday, while everyone's saying World War III, while everyone's saying flash crash, and we're kind of trolling that a little bit in our thumbnails, we still end up being in the better spot by just being the guy who's a little bit critical of everything that all the crazy stuff people are saying, and we're sitting in the middle. We are in an overall better spot because we can just pay attention to how the money moves. Make sure you're trading like water out there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing it with a friend. You guys have been fantastic. And I will see you live in the morning for our YouTube Live, where we look at the stock market and see if we can read into anything to see the next move. All right, guys, have a great night. Peace out.